Good afternoon. It's Monday, August 5. I'm Herman Green with your midday news. For those of you watching online at onespotmedia.com, a very special welcome to you. The country's tourism sector continues to record improvements on a yearly basis. The latest figure from the Tourism Ministry showed a 9.8% improvement in stopover arrivals for the first 7 months of the year, ending July 31, compared with the corresponding period last year. The details in this report from TVJ's Kirk Wright.
Despite reports of sexual harassment at some of the island's tourist resorts, the Ministry of Tourism is reporting significant improvements in earnings for the first 7 months of 2019. Speaking with TVJ News recently, Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett pointed out that the sector recorded over $2.1 billion in the past few months. This is 12.7% higher than the corresponding period in 2018. Mr. Bartlett says the improvements in earnings was in relation to the number of visitors that stopped over in the island. This currently stands at 1.6 million.
For the year so far, Jamaica has welcomed 148,000 more visitors than last year and earned somewhere in the region of nearly $300 million more.
Mr. Bartlett added that the arrival figures over the past 4 years have also shown incremental improvements.
The fact is that the growth that Jamaica has seen in tourism in the last 4 years is absolutely phenomenal and more than quadruple the growth rate that we've had in the previous 4 years.
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
In the meantime, Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett is issuing a call for farmers to furnish the hotel sector with more fresh fruits and other agricultural products such as beef and eggs. He says currently the local supply to the sector is below what the Tourism Ministry hoped for. TVJ's Prince Moore has the details.
Farmers and members of the Agricultural Society for years have been complaining about the lack of local produce being taken up by the country's tourist resorts. They had contended that they would be able to supply the sector with the requisite food items. However, speaking at the country's premier agricultural show Dembi on Sunday, Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says the needs of the hotels are not being met by local farmers. Hence, he's calling on the Jamaica Agricultural Society JAS to increase the productivity of the nation's farmers. Mr. Bartlett says, for one, the hotel sector is in need of fresh fruits, which are currently not being supplied.
What I'm saying to you, therefore, is that when we examine the demand that exists for agriculture in our own Jamaican tourism arrangements, it's not just about the $40 billion that we calculate the demand for fresh fruits and vegetables is. $40 billion. Of which we are only being able to provide 10 to 12%.
The tourism minister says that with the country currently only able to provide $4.8 billion of the $40 billion worth of produce needed per year, there is a huge deficit. Meanwhile, Mr. Bartlett is calling for an improvement in the delivery of meats and eggs.
Would you believe that on a consumption level in any given hotel, the average consumption on a visitor for eggs is exceeding 5 eggs per day? One visitor. We have 4.5 million coming to Jamaica this year. Do the math. And then we can look at the other demands that exist for prime cuts of beef. We can't compete with some of the destinations of the world in terms of that element of the culinary offering. We are not even being able to attract some of the big brands in terms of restaurants and Michelin's quality restaurants that will enable us to have the higher end of the market coming to Jamaica.
Prince Moore, TVJ News.
The opposition People's National Party, PNP, says the trustworthiness of the Integrity Commission could be compromised by its continued silence in relation to the Prime Minister's statutory declarations. Pressure has been mounting on the Commission to publish the summer report on the filings by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. The details of the earnings and other financial information for opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips were published in the media more than 2 weeks ago. However, there's been no word on the Prime Minister's filings despite his promise it would have been published a week ago. PNP General Secretary Julian Robinson says the situation is unacceptable and the Integrity Commission must speak now.
We have heard nothing about the Prime Minister's own declaration. We don't know whether it has been passed by the Integrity Commission or whether there are issues with it. And the Integrity Commission remains silent. I think at this point, their own integrity is going to be called into question if they don't make a statement on this particular issue.
Mr. Robinson also describes the current situation as unprecedented.
Every week we hear that the report is going to be done this week. We have heard that for the last 3 weeks, and yet nothing has come out. He has remained silent, which is totally unacceptable, and the Integrity Commission has remained silent. I would think that as the head of government, he should himself indicate what the state of his report is. Has he answered all the questions that have been asked of him satisfactorily? Has he provided all the documents to the Integrity Commission? It is quite frankly scandalous that for the first time in our history, we have a Prime Minister whose own integrity report cannot be cleared by an Integrity Commission. This is unprecedented in Jamaica.
And we now take a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back, continuing the news. Residents in Nain St. Elizabeth are demanding that more resources be allocated to the police station in their community. Their frustration boiled over after a woman narrowly escaped death last night. The details in this report.
Beverly Carr is a victim of the latest attack in Nain St. Elizabeth. On Sunday night, she was asleep at her sister's house when she was awakened by the smell of smoke.
And when I wake, I hold on the door. And when I hold on the door, that's the fire in my room. It came from the door bottom and catch the two blows of fire in the house. So when I open the door and I come out, I see outside and pure fire. Outside and pure fire. Then I run through that door is open there. No one called for help. Help, help, neighbor, help. And my neighbor them come and start through the water.
The swift actions of her neighbors prevented serious damage. No one was injured. However, when the Nain police were contacted,
the administration told me that they might call Junction and Black River we call and Junction end up come. So we are processing for a car for Nain and some more police. We need some more police and a car.
And if it was the police to save us, we wouldn't get anything because they took 2 hours to come because they don't have a vehicle. And the one vehicle they had, it was on the road. And it has to share for 2 stations. We need a vehicle for Nain.
The residents say the lack of mobility has severely impacted law enforcement and community policing activities. They are calling for the Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, to resolve the matter urgently. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Taxi operators, especially in St. Thomas, are again being criticized for their poor driving habits. It was one of the focal points in a peaceful demonstration by members of the commuting public from Morant Bay in St. Thomas recently. According to organizer of the event, Bishop Winston Bell, the taxi operators are driving without care.
We are finding that the transport system in Jamaica do not suit us. It does not keep us safe as passengers, as commuters. And we want, as a church, as a body, to send a message to the entire Jamaica that this must change.
President of the Jamaica Association of Transport Owners and Operators, JATU, Louis Barton, is also calling for improvements within the sector.
We support their effort. We want to tell Jamaica that the transport system, the transport sector is unregulated. It is not regulated for passengers, for commuters, or for the players, both the owners and operators in the system.
In the meantime, Bishop Bell said he will continue his campaign with similar protests across the island. He is also calling for others to join in the protest action to rid the nation of these so-called ruthless drivers.
I am more than willing and ready to take this across Jamaica, which is what I intend to do. And I hope that you will come out and join us if you are so moved. But this country is lacking in nationhood. And as a result, all kinds of systems have been put in place that do not serve our people well.
Residents of Highgate in St. Mary are breathing a sigh of relief as they were provided with water from recording artist Anthony Clark, more popularly known as Devin the Doctor, in collaboration with Wisynco through their water brand. The initiative by the artist saw residents from Capture Land in Highgate taking home at least 4 cases of water to battle the summer heat. TVJ News caught up with the artist who organized the donation.
To be here giving back water and to see a smile on everybody's face, because we don't really have water like that. Water is here because we're a river in our country with it. But to get pure drinking water where we now have to go catch water and boil for ourselves is a joy, man.
The residents say they are grateful for the donation as the country is being severely affected by the present drought conditions.
Good, man, good. Very good, because we run out of water around that. You understand? So that will come out so we get nice. We're Devin the Doctor. Put it on.
Yes, sir.
Bless him.
Capture and Highgate, but we are facing a very hard time with water to drink because there is no water in the pipe. And we are welcome this initiative what Devin has done for us to give us water today, because we want some water. And water with wow, we die.
We go on to news in sports. Jamaica's under-19 women's lacrosse team lost their 4th game in a row at the World Cup after going down 22-10 to South Korea in Ontario, Canada earlier today. Despite losing, Jamaica scored their most goals in one game at the tournament with 10, thanks to hat-tricks from Jada Williams and Alicia Thaxter. The Jam Lax girls will return to action on Wednesday with the second round-robin phase of the competition. This is Jamaica's first ever participation at the Under-19 Women's Lacrosse World Cup. And Chief Executive Officer of Cricket West Indies, Johnny Grave, says Andre Russell's decision to withdraw from the T20 series against India and play in the Global T20 Canada is part of his rehabilitation plans. The Windies announced on Friday that the Jamaican all-rounder was feeling discomfort in his knees in the Canadian T20 competition and would not take part in the series. However, Russell played on the same day for Vancouver Knights on Friday and will remain active for the team. But speaking with ESPN Crick Info, Graves said the board has cleared the 31-year-old to continue playing in the league and that the Windies physios are monitoring his knee. Grave also praised Russell for listening to their medical team's advice and says he will return for the Caribbean men when he's 100% fit enough to bat, bowl and field. Russell underwent surgery in June after damaging his knee in the ICC World Cup in England. And that wraps up the Midday News. I'm Herman Green. Please join us at 7 for the primetime news package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.